More controversy surrounding Maine's Democratic Senate candidate, Graham Platner.
Toxic, unsettling, emotionally wrenching.
Simply not true.
How do you guys feel about Graham Platner? Okay, but you guys aren't his exes. Okay, so Graham Platner, former Marine and current Democratic candidate for Senate in Maine, is being hit with the ultimate allegation: not being a great boyfriend in 2013. Obviously, he's known for his controversial opinions, like housing should be more affordable and genocide is bad. I get it, like, yikes. So a few weeks ago, he was polling really well, and suddenly allegations came out, because that's just how it works sometimes. A New York Times hit piece came out, which means he was doing well, and basically said there's some women who have some bad things to say about him. Now, I'm the person who says we should always take allegations seriously. We should always listen to them, see what they're saying. And then after you listen to them for long enough, you think critically and think, like, what are the weight of these? Who are these coming from? Why are they being said? Thank you, one person who's like... Thank you. One person who's like, yes, critical thinking. Good. I like that. Respect that. So first news came out that he had texted some women inappropriately while he was married. I'll tell you, I think that's wrong. But I also think if you're married, you shouldn't be texting in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, husbands should not have phones, all right? If you're running for Senate, just use posters or SOS, okay? Phones are not for you. So that happened, and yeah, that's something to take seriously because he's a Democratic politician who's sending risque texts. Like, we don't need another Anthony Weiner, you know what I mean? The GOAT. And so instantly, he was able to call up a lot of his former partners and have them come out and say that he was a nice guy, which is crazy. Apparently, he has more exes than an algebra problem. Because within 2 days, he was able to get on the phones and be like, hey, can you just say this isn't who I am? And they all did. They're like, no, he's a nice guy. He drank a lot, He did admit that he had a period of drinking and seeing a lot of people because it was his way of coping with what he had seen during combat. It was his PTSD, post-traumatic speed dating. So yeah, there was a period where he was drinking a lot and seeing, seeing more women than me. And then, so yes, he was able to reach out to his exes, and they all spoke. They started to do press releases and just say no, he was a nice guy, he had a drinking problem, but otherwise he was a nice guy, no behavior, no abuse, nothing like that. Even his wife was like, yes, I know about the texts. Obviously, I'm his wife. I read his phone every night. And she's like, it's fine. You know what I mean? So if the wife says it's fine, it's probably fine, or they're getting paid off by somebody. So what does it matter, And that happened within a matter of days. So it was Tuesday when they're like, yeah, he was texting women inappropriately. And then on Wednesday, his exes were like, no, it's cool. And his wife was like, no, it's cool. And then they're like, great, we can sleep now. And then, what's that? The text? No, for sure. We'll get to that. But let's comment on that first, because at least the texts were consensual. It's like, yes, I will receive them. It's like... What is a consensual text marked as read? Okay, yes. We all know how you consent to a text. You thumbs it up, okay? And if you really like it, heart emoji, okay? Nobody can put a laughy emoji on a text and be like, I did not consent to that text. I just found it hilarious. But yes, they were consensual texts as far as we understand from the scope of this situation. Then this New York Times hit piece comes out. 3 women make claims about Graham Platner. One of them was a former girlfriend who he dated around 2013. Her name is Lindsay, which it's always a Lindsay. And she's a Republican activist, which is an oxymoron, but she made all these accusations hoping that people would be like, that's why he shouldn't be senator, which is again, I think it's important that we look at allegations, but I've never heard a Republican be like, believe all women. You know what I mean? That's a new one for me. The Republican hashtag is hashtag believe women sometimes, depending on the situation. So she made those allegations, and because of her history and because she's a political, the moral is don't date your political opponents. They're probably not going to say good things when you run against their party. And so we can't really take what she says seriously because she's obviously has conflicts of interest. Then there's these other 2 women who made claims about him being a bad boyfriend, essentially. Now, both of them made it very clear he was not abusive. They said there was no assault, no specific, verbal abuse. They just made a couple of claims that they said were problematic. One woman said that he does not respect women after she had dated him casually. Which is, can we just be clear? If you're dating someone casually, you don't respect anyone, okay? That's what casual dating is. That's what makes casual dating fun, is disrespect. She didn't say he did anything flagrant or abusive. She just said that he had made a few comments before that she felt were derogatory towards women, which I don't think is good, but he was also a drunk man. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, what do you expect? One of the women said there was a story where she said, don't come over to my house, and he shows up drunk later that night, okay? And that's not good. Nobody wants a drunk person at their house who you told not to come to your house. That's also what a boyfriend does. Is it good? No, but I don't think it makes the list of problematic. One of the allegations was that he once grabbed her by the wrist and by the shoulders, which is not good. I don't think men should just be grabbing women. But again, she said it was not abusive, and she just said he grabbed her by the wrist and shoulders. At least it wasn't by the pussy. There's a huge difference. Again, I'm not saying it's okay that anybody grabs a woman by the wrist or shoulders. I'm just saying she said he was not abusive. There was just a time where she felt he was being forceful and grabbed her by the wrist and shoulders. And then he denied that. He said that was not true at all. He said the only true part is that he used to drink and he was not a great boyfriend. I'm not endorsing Graham Platner. I'm from California. We have our own problems. We have our Spencer Platner, okay? So Platner denies the allegations, but he did say that he had a period of drinking and not being a great boyfriend following his service in Afghanistan and Iraq, which I can relate to because I've been accused of not being a great boyfriend and also blamed it on my tours. So anyways, what I'm saying is I'm a person who always takes women's allegations very seriously. I think they should always be listened to. I think they should always be heard. But like when you look at something like this and it all has the read of like a hit job, at some point you got to be like, okay, these aren't that serious. You know, like it's not a Me Too, it's like a Me 1.2. You know what I mean? 1.5 or more we take seriously. You know what I'm saying? This is a solid 1.2. I'm not happy about it. I wish it was a 1.0, you know? But that's where it is, okay? And this comes after the whole tattoo fiasco. Graham Platner had been accused of having a tattoo that resembles Nazi symbolism, okay? Which he said he had no idea when he got it. His story was, he said he got it when he was drunk in Croatia, which is like, who doesn't do that? Who doesn't stumble into a Croatian tattoo parlor and be like, give me the skull and bones that might be a Nazi symbol, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not defending him. Like, I don't have, this is why I don't get tattoos. Because I'm afraid I'll go into a place and get like a really cool shape and then later find out like, yeah, that's actually the Klan symbol or something like that. I'm like, I thought a burning cross was like a candle, you know? But, all right, whatever, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, so he claims he did not know it was a Nazi symbol. Whether he's saying the truth, again, I don't know. But you do got to admit, Nazis have ruined a lot of symbols. Just ask the Hindus. Also, the symbol itself was a skull and bones. Why are we debating the ethics of a skull and bones tattoo? Like if somebody's already getting a skull and bones tattoo, they for sure have dark thoughts. Like, yes, I think we all agree that Nazis are bad, but if somebody gets a skull and bones tattoo, I think the bigger issue is that it's a skull and bones tattoo. So he says he didn't know, he wasn't aware when he got it, and he also said when the US military did the routine checks, they saw the tattoo and they're like, looks good to me. So if the US military can't tell what a Nazi is, why are we not even speaking German right now? You know what I'm saying? But then after the whole controversy, he covered it up with like his household pets. Hitler wouldn't have done that. So he covered up with his household pets. So ironically, now you cannot see it. And again, for the record, Nazi tattoos are bad. Okay, but he claims he didn't know when he got it. But his Republican ex-girlfriend says, oh, he knew. Oh, he knew, and he even told me he knew, and he taught me the German word for it. And it's like, since when do Republicans care so much about Nazis, you know? That's like a quarter of their base, you know? I don't hate Republicans, just a quarter of them. Anyways, but dude, there's a lot of fucking neo-Nazis who support Republicans, so it's like, when the fuck, you know? Sorry, there's good people on both sides. Anyways, so his Republican ex-girlfriend was like, oh, he knew it was a Nazi symbol, and so that's how the fiasco started, and then they leaked, and sorry guys, I know it's a serious tattoo. Have a great, that's okay, it's okay. I'll see you at the polls. So it's just very suspicious because he was doing so well in the polls. There was the tattoo thing, and now there's the sexual harassment allegations. It's almost like a game of tit for tat. Thank you. What makes this all so suspicious? This all comes after Graham Platner has been very outspoken for criticizing Israel. So is there a connection? Probably not. Graham Platner has openly criticized Israel, calling what Israel's doing in Gaza a genocide, because it is. Right? And refusing to take AIPAC money, which is kind of a big deal nowadays. He's the non-AIPAC candidate, okay? And I don't know if you've been following local elections, but AIPAC don't like that, okay? So he's been outspoken about, he's been critical of Israel, calling it a genocide, and refusing to take AIPAC money and criticizing AIPAC, and calling out AIPAC, which I think are all good things. And then suddenly there's all these allegations against him. Connection? No, I mean, I'm not saying Israel is doing a smear campaign against him, okay? Because I would have called it a smear campaign, but I didn't say that. Well, his name is Graham, so it's more of a schmore campaign. That's a wholesome joke. One you can tell by a campfire. Would Israel try to eliminate a Democratic candidate who had a promiscuous history? No, just ask JFK. It's a good thing Graham's not running for president. His name would be Graham Platner. But yeah, it just seems fishy. If you follow politics, if you follow AIPAC, if you follow the very few, unfortunately, candidates in this country who are critical of Israel, call it what it is, and refuse to take money from AIPAC, you're watching them getting eliminated left and right. So why would we not suspect that this would be a hit job from the New York Times? I mean, would the New York Times do a hit job? No, come on. I don't think they've done it before, So it just all seems very plausible, okay? But again, it seems from the story that he did not commit any abuse. He did not do any, directly bad sexual harassment or anything. If you exclude his Republican ex, which I think you should, the allegations are coming from two specific women who he dated casually. Okay, and again, I'm for casual dating. That's the only way I prefer it, actually. That's my problem. Okay, we should always take allegations seriously, but casual dating? I don't know. If it's sufficiently shown that he did not do any abuse or any specific wrongdoing, let's be blunt about it. Election is not about what his side pieces think of him. This election is not what his side pieces think of him. It's about what his main does. We're all just looking for our lobster.